Have you ever wondered why we have elections in Hypixel Skyblock? Well, not only does each individual mayor offer something unique, every single one of them, despite what you think, presents a pretty good opportunity to make some coins. Granted, some of them are better than others for making money. Today I aim to go through every single mayor in Hypixel Skyblock and see potentially how we can make a few extra coins from each of them. Now, when I talk about these mayors, you have to understand that they don't always have all of the perks that they can possibly have. Each mayor will have 3 perks, and for instance, Diaz right here only has 2 of his 3 perks. Similarly with Marina, who only has 1 of the 3 perks that you can possibly get. And that's majority of the time the reason why people aren't voting for these mayors. And first of all, we're going to start with Aatrox. Now, to understand how we can make coins from any of these mayors, we need to know what their perks could be. So for Aatrox, number 1 is Slayer buff, earn 25% more Slayer XP. Number 2 is Pathfinder, gain rare drops 20% more often. And then we have slashed pricing. Starting Slayer quests is half price. So to cut a long story short, a lot of people are going to be doing Slayers, especially if it's a 3 perk Aatrox. This means that when Aatrox comes into office, or when we know that Aatrox is going to come into office through the elections, of course we can see who's going to be elected before they're actually elected, so I would keep an eye on the actual elections. But everything to do with Slayers itself is going to increase in price. Now if you're going to do Slayers, you're going to do it when it's Aatrox. It only makes sense. So items like an Atom Split Katana for Enderman Slayer, or potentially items like Axe of the Shredded are going to go up in value. So if you can catch it early, then these items you're going to be able to make some profit on just through simply buying them and selling them during Aatrox. Obviously you've got to buy them before, because they'll jump in price when people realise it's Aatrox. Now, the actual thing about this here is there's an increase in chance of rare drops from Aatrox, such as items like the Warden Heart, Overflux Capacitor, Judgment Core, and so on. These items during Aatrox are going to fall in price because basically they're more likely to be dropped. Accompany that with more people actually doing Slayers because it's Aatrox. More and more of these are going to be dropped, therefore the price is going to decrease because the supply is going to increase on the AH. Meaning that around about the last day of Aatrox would not really be a bad time to maybe buy up a few of these items and hold on to them maybe for a week or 2 until they go back up in price. Obviously, if you actually just partake in Aatrox 2, you're going to benefit because you're going to spend less coins on actually starting Slayers, you're going to have more chance of dropping RNGs, more Slayer XP and so on. And I'd say that's just about it for Aatrox. Before we move on, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code Nitroze, it gets yourself 5% off. Also, you should subscribe to the channel, it does help out a lot. We're going for 100k subscribers before the end of next year. If you could subscribe and help us out towards that goal, that would be great. And also you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer Slayers and Dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. Okay, next up we're on to Coal. Now let's have a look at Coal's perks. Mining XP buff, earn plus 50 mining wisdom on public islands. Mining Fiesta, schedules 2 Mining Fiesta events during the year, earn plus 75 mining wisdom, 2 times drops and unique loot. It's one of those situations once again where if you're going to mine, realistically, if you don't do it very often, you're going to do it within those fiestas. And of course, the mining fiestas only come around when coal is actually active. That means when people realise that coal is going to be in office, especially if it's a 3 perk, people are instantly going to try and buy up things like drills, mining pets, Divan's armour, meaning that it's all going to go up in price. So if you can catch this early, there is potential to make some coins and sell it on later into coal. It also goes without saying that double mining drops is ridiculously good. So if you already have a decent mining setup, you can definitely make a ton of coins just straight up mining gemstones in these fiestas. You can make pretty easily over 100 million coins with a decent setup in the right circumstances within a fiesta, which is just absolutely insane. Anyway, let's move on to Diana. Pet XP buff, gain 35% more pet XP. Lucky, gain plus 25 pet luck. Mythological ritual. Mayor Diana will sell the Griffin pet, which lets you find mythological creatures and tons of unique items. Now once again, anything Diana related is going to rise in price when people realise it's going to be Diana. For instance, an item like the Daedalus Axe. A lot of people use the Daedalus Axe because number 1, it's good against mythological creatures, and number 2, it's going to give you a lot of magic find. I mean, straight up it doesn't give you magic find, but people use that with Golden Dragon because it copies the stats from your active pet. If you use something like a G-Drag with a Clover, you know it's magic find, more magic find in order to actually make money. Also, items like the Legendary Griffin are also another one where you can buy relatively early and then sell further on into Diana when people need them. Of course, there's increased pet luck, so you could maybe, if you have ever wanted to drop a pet, for instance something like a Bal or an Ender Dragon, whether it's for coins or not, this is probably the time to do it. it means that the price of Summon Eyes will probably spike a little bit too. Now, the mythological event itself is really good for money. It definitely can be. Of course, it's relatively based on RNG, but you can drop items such as Chimera, which is going for about 150 mil. That being the main one for money making, but there's other drops that you can get to that will make you a few mil here and there. Honestly, it's relatively fun too and not as painful as it might seem. Anywho, moving on to Diaz. So first of all, we have Barrier Street, gain 25% more bank interest, and Shopping Spree, increase daily NPC buy limits by 10. Well, first of all, it seems obvious. If you want to benefit from gaining more bank interest, just have money in the bank and don't have your bank full so you can't gain interest, just have enough. And then increases NPC limits. So there's items every single day that are profitable to buy from the NPC, then sell to the bazaar. Now, of course, if these are 10 times, then your profits are also going to be 10 times. Websites like Bazaar Tracker will tell you what's profitable and what's not. There's not really much else to say, to be completely honest, about Diaz. Diaz rarely gets elected because realistically, not a great mayor. It's a bit stale. Anyway, next up, moving on to Finnegan. Farming Simulator. There is a 25% chance of the mathematical holes and cultivating enchant to count twice. Peltpocalypse. Obtain 1.5 times more pelts from Trevor in the Mushroom Desert. Hunt a new trapper mob and buy exclusive items from the pet store. Goated. Jacob's farming contest brackets include 10% more of each player. So first of all, if people are going to farm at any point in time, it's going to be when it's Finnegan. If you want to get your gold medals, realistically, people are going to go for it more in Finnegan because the brackets are slightly increased. In theory, it should be easier. Now, in practice, because more people do farm during Finnegan, it actually is sometimes just as difficult, or if not more difficult, to get gold medals than it is not in Finnegan. But that's besides the point. More people are going to farm, therefore farming items are going to go up in price, including things like elephant pets or just simply hoes, axes, you know the drill. Maybe fermental armor, everything. You can of course capitalize on that just like you can with pretty much every mayor by buying the related items when you realize, or hopefully before Finnegan's even elected, and then sell a little bit later on when they're active. But unfortunately for this one, there's not really too much else to write home about. Anyway, next up we have Foxy. Sweet Tooth grants a plus 20% chance to get candy from mobs during the Spooky Festival. Benevolence, gain 2.5 times gifts from the attack event on Jerry's Workshop. Extra event, schedules an extra event name, crazy, event during the year. So realistically, there's more gifts, there's more candy, so those two items are going to decrease in value, so potentially you could invest in those. Towards the end of Foxy's Occupants, usually schedules an extra spooky event. It's just not too much really to make money from. I mean, sure, great, you can partake in another spooky event and make some coins there. Not really massive though. Anyway, next up we have Marina. Fishing XP buff. Gain plus 50 fishing wisdom on public islands. Look of the Sea 2.0. Gain plus 15 sea creature chance. And Fishing Festival. Start a special Fishing Festival event during the first 3 days of each month. Fish and fight dangerous sharks and earn unique shark loot. Once again, it's one of those situations where if you don't even fish, you're probably going to end up fishing during Marina. Now sure, you're going to get extra XP, you're going to fish up sea creatures more often, so great. But I guess the festival is the main thing, because during the festival, like, you can kill sharks, and of course sharks drop shark teeth. Those shark teeth are traded on the bazaar, meaning that essentially during the festival and during Marina's Occupants, these items are going to be down in price. They're going to be relatively low, so it's not really a bad time to invest in them, and maybe wait a little bit of time until they return back to the normal price, therefore you can make yourself a little bit of profit. Of course, also you can invest in pretty much any fishing related item that's decent. Kind of as you realise that Marina's going to come into office, obviously the prices are going to spike a little bit during Marina because people are going to be trying to buy fishing gear as much as they can, so they can actually fish. Anyway, moving on to Paul. Easy peasy. Gain 10 bonus score during dungeon runs. Marauder. Dungeon rewards are 20% cheaper. Benediction. Blessings are 25% stronger. Once again, dungeons are just way better during Paul. Way more people are going to be doing dungeons. Even if you don't regularly do dungeons, you're probably going to do dungeons during Paul. Same thing again. The runs are a little bit easier. They're going to be a little bit quicker. The loot from dungeons are going to be cheaper, so even more people are going to be opening the rewards. Anyway, the pretty much same thing goes. When everyone realizes that Paul is going to be mayor, especially if it's a 3 perk, anything is going to go up in price relating to dungeons, whether that be pets, armor like Necron, Storm. A lot of things are going to go up in price. And usually the pretty basic items are the ones that increase in price the most, such as Wither armor, things like your tiger pets, your blue whale pets, your yeti pets, and so on. They'll be good to invest in just beforehand and sell during Paul is actually mayor. And then all the items that are only obtainable in dungeons are obviously going to be basically cheaper to buy because, number one, more people are going to be doing dungeons, opening chests, and more people are actually going to be opening the chests that they might not have before because it's more profit. In theory, of course, the price is going to go down, so that's going to eat into the profit, but they're still going to make more profit because the chests are 20% cheaper. Invest in some of those items during Paul, hold on to them for a little bit, wait for them to return back to the regular price, sell them and make profit. Dungeons are going to be easier and quicker to do too, so it just kind of makes sense. Anyway, on to the special mayors that only come around, is it once every 3 months? They're all on a rotation. First of all, we have Jerry. Perkpocalypse. Activate all perks of another mayor every 18 Skyblock days. Statspocalypse. Increase most stats by 10%. Jerrypocalypse. Reveal hidden Jerrys from logging, farming, mining and killing mobs. Now, Jerry is a really interesting one because the perk where he basically steals the stats of other mayors for a certain amount of time, and he steals them as a 3 perk variant. So there is sometimes a period of time where a mayor will not really come into office because every time they come up in the election booth, they don't have 3 perks. There's other times where mayors will come into office but not with 3 perks, meaning that you never really get in the full kind of mayor. It's always a little bit of it, or just not appearing at all. And of course, when Jerry finally grants those perks, there's a little bit of chaos. Those particular items are going to be in massive demand, meaning that there is a big opportunity for you to just simply make some quick coins, realizing Jerry is coming into office, invest in some of those items, and then selling basically during the time of when Jerry is stealing the perks. Something really interesting is when Jerry copies Diana's perks. Of course, Jerry is the only actual mayor there. This is not Jerry, this is Derpy. However, a lot of people when partaking in Diana obviously want to engage in the event. And to do that, they need the Ancestral Spade. Now, if they don't have an Ancestral Spade, they'll have to buy one. And the only person you can buy them from is Diana. But if Diana's perks are being copied by Jerry, then Diana's not going to be there. Therefore, you're not actually able to buy. You're not actually able to buy an Ancestral Spade, and the prices go crazy for them because people realize that look, we can just charge whatever we want because people can't buy them for, the mere 1,000 coins that they can buy them from Diana. Now, what pretty much happens is every few hours, just a mini version of what I've basically explained already in this video happens when a new mayor is essentially put into place, even though it's still Jerry. Items like Jerry boxes are also obtainable, meaning that, of course, these items will drop in price, meaning that potentially, yeah, you could go ahead and invest in some and wait for them to rise in price. Of course, Jerry comes around on a pretty set standard timescale, so you know when he's going to come back. These do fluctuate in price. I wouldn't say it's exactly a safe investment. In fact, I would say it's safe, but there's no guarantee that you're going to gain your money relatively quickly. Probably going to take a while to go up in price. Anyway, now moving on to Derpy. First of all, Turbo Minions. Minions have double the output. AH closed. The auction house will be closed while Derpy is elected. Double mobs HP. All monsters have double health. More skills. Gain 50% more skill XP. Yes, Derpy actually has 4 perks. Now, in terms of making money when Derpy is here, minions have double output, so maybe make sure they're fueled up so you can take advantage of that. But honestly, it kind of, in terms of money making from Derpy, it's more before and after of what you really do, because you are limited considering the AH is completely closed. So beforehand, people just bulk buy. They invest in everything that they think they're going to need during Derpy because they're not going to be able to buy it really from anyone other than, I guess, real players. Now, of course, you can't sell items either, so lowballers do completely take over, realistically, because who else are you going to sell your items to? Lowballing can make a ton of coins during Derpy. A ton of coins. Anyway, moving on to Scorpius. Bribe. If Scorpius wins and you voted for him, Mayor Scorpius will offer you coins as a token of gratitude. These coins will differ depending on how many hours you actually have on the profile. Majority of the time you'll get 1,000,000 coins. Dark auctions. Scorpius will intrude in dark auctions, increasing the amount of rounds to 6 and offering special items. So for example, items like the Midas Staff are only obtainable during Scorpius. The same goes for a Plasma Nucleus. Items like this are of course going to decrease in price while Scorpius is active. That's just because, I mean, of course you can obtain these items during Scorpius and not really any other time. So by all means, of course, you could also partake in the dark auctions too. Sometimes you can pick some pretty good deals up. A lot of the time, people do end up overpaying for items though, so you have to watch out. But mainly, I'd probably just say those items that you can only obtain during Scorpius, you should potentially invest in when Scorpius is in office, considering they're going to be relatively cheap at that point, and just hold on to them until they increase in price. It's as simple as that. That covers just about all of the mayors. I will say that there are, of course, other money-making methods, and I've probably not covered every single one. But I'll give you an idea of, I guess, how you can potentially profit from every single mayor. Some are better than others. Some you can realistically make a fortune from. Others, you know, not the greatest. But I guess any coins gained is better than none. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.